There we go. So thanks for logging in, signing in. Some of you will have probably joined some of the other free sessions that I've done, and will know how I like to sort of teach this breathwork stuff and teach breathing, and why hopefully find it so enjoyable and beneficial. I'm hoping to be able to give you an experience today that's less around the sort of sports performance side of it, although this can be great for recovery. This is great for sleep, great for down regulating, de-stressing, and that's good for everyone. Everyone breathes, everyone has to deal with stress, so this is beneficial for all of you joining and everyone else that you know. So if you learn a little bit of the simple things that we're going to teach, like help other people to be able to do this as well. Don't just keep it to yourself. So I just want to, something I'm very I guess passionate about is just to give us a little bit of context of why we're doing what we're doing, so that it's not death by slides. Don't worry, there's literally like two things, but just to be able to explain why we are going to breathe in a certain way, rather than there's more benefit to you, rather than me just saying, right, follow this, I'm going to guide you through and you're going to feel relaxed and de-stressed afterwards. Yes. But what about if I set the scene, explain what it is we're going to do, why we're going to do it, and then do it so that you understand what's going on? Okay. So we'll just literally spend a couple of minutes at the start just getting a bit of an understanding of what it is that we're doing and why we're doing it. If people have any questions as we go along, is it you? Are we struggling with sound? Someone in the sound is good. So Lewis, maybe you need to turn your speaker on. Sound is all good. Good. Thank you for those that are already right. I got my mic on. When I tap that, can you hear that tapping? Someone give me. Yeah, you can hear that tap. Yeah. Good. Okay. So the sound is working. If you can't hear me, maybe you need to just check your own settings. Okay. So any questions as we go along, do use the chat box for that. It's exactly what it is for. Okay. So the nervous system, autonomic nervous system, we're going to simplify it just so that we can get our little brains around it. But that's fine. But it's probably a little bit more complicated than this, but just a simplified version to get our little brains around it. Fight or flight, rest, digest. The fancy words for those: fight or flight, stress responses, sympathetic, tone, dominance, activation, and then the rest, digest, relaxation is parasympathetic. When we use our breathing to control this, what we're doing is undertaking and understanding that with every breath you take, sing along with it. Every breath you take, don't sing along, Jacko, don't sing. Every breath you take, on your inhale, your heartbeat speeds up and is more sympathetic activation. Your breath is linked to your inhale, linked to speeding up heart rate and sympathetic dominance. It's to do with like being able to pump the heart's changing in size to help pump blood around the body. Is one part of the mechanism behind it. Every exhale you do promotes parasympathetic activity. So when we are trying to relax and de-stress, we're thinking about, can we place an emphasis? And by emphasizing, we're looking at extending the exhale of our breath, so that we're eliciting more of a bias towards that parasympathetic tone. Okay, very, very simple thing. Exhalation, slow down the heartbeat, parasympathetic activity. That's what I want to get to when I'm feeling relaxed. Part of that relaxation, part of the parasympathetic arm of the nervous system is rest, digest. The digest part gives us a little bit of a clue of something physically we can look out for to know, like, am I doing it? Where is my body at? Because if you're a little bit like me, when I started all of this, it was like, how well are you breathing? I don't know. Like, are you using diaphragm? I don't know. How do you feel? I don't know. Like, am I sympathetic or am I parasympathetic? I don't know. And like, if you look out for saliva building up in the mouth, you will notice that changing. More saliva means the body getting ready to digest into that state of rest, digest, relaxation. You are creating more of that parasympathetic arm. You're you're dwindling over to that side or leaning over to that side. Okay. The other thing that's going to happen and we're going to feel is this relationship between carbon dioxide and stress, carbon dioxide and anxiety, carbon dioxide and our breathing. So our breathing affects our nervous system and our heart rate. It also affects things like our blood pressure, but it affects things like our feelings and anxieties of stress and how we cope with it in terms of the nervous system, but then also how our breathing responds to it. And our breathing responds primarily to levels of carbon dioxide in the blood, because the respiratory center in our brainstem is monitoring primarily, it does pH and oxygen to a lesser degree, but primarily carbon dioxide, because the effect that carbon dioxide has on the pH of the blood. Not trying to overcomplicate it, but basically carbon dioxide gets carried in the blood or transported in the blood as carbonic acid. You don't need to be a chemist or a scientist to understand that carbonic acid, what's that going to do to the blood? It's probably going to make it more acidic, because the name of the second part of that name is acid. Okay. And it's that's changing then the pH, making the pH go down, so increasing in acidity in the body. The brain wants to breathe out that carbon dioxide. Because carbon dioxide is so important to the brain, it's so responsive, the respiratory center is so responsive to carbon dioxide, our sensitivity to it dictates how fast we're wanting to breathe. And how fast we're wanting to breathe dictates how much carbon dioxide is in the body. So it creates this circular effect in that if I'm a bit stressed and I breathe faster, I am going to be spending less time with carbon dioxide in the body because I'm breathing it out all the time. And then I become more sensitive to it. And then the cycle continues because I'm sensitive to it. So any that does build up, my brain wants to get rid of. And then I stay in a state of breathing faster. And you might think, well, is a state of breathing faster, is that stress? Well, that's where sort of like the practical of this starts. And we go, okay, if I say I'm leaning back on the sofa here, right? And you can give us some action in the chat box. Still, some people are struggling with the sound. Are most of us okay with the sound here? As I give you my, yeah, sound is fine. As I give you my, okay, so look, this is my relaxed pose. Yeah. I'm just chilling, leaning up against the sofa. Okay. Yeah. Thank you for everyone saying sound. Okay. So I look relaxed. Do we agree? You can use the chat box. Do I look relaxed? Chilling. Okay. The noises are making, okay. What about if I start breathing like this? Do I look relaxed? Yeah. Everyone's gone quiet in the chat box.
No.
Don't all of a sudden don't relax. Body position hasn't changed, body language hasn't changed, but breathing has changed. We know intuitively, fast mouth, loud breathing that's very shallow and upper chest is a sign of like something's not right. If you see someone breathing like that and they haven't been exercising, if they've been exercising, it matches. They've worked hard. But if it doesn't, if their breathing doesn't match their activity, it doesn't have to be as extreme as that. But if someone's breathing a bit louder, a little bit from the mouth, a bit faster, a bit shallower, you know intuitively that something's not right. You know the system is stressed. It's having to work harder. All of that is also more inefficient. So the more inefficient I am, the more I have to breathe, and it carries on that cycle. In order for me to relax and de-stress, I need to understand some of these simple principles to be able to control the speed of my breathing and to be able to control how I do it. So if mouth, fast, noisy, shallow breathing is how your body responds when it's stressed, if we want to do the opposite of stress, we want to relax, we need to do it's dead simple. This is what I love about breathing. It's simple. It's simple. And the effects are going to be huge. You're going to feel. So what's the opposite of all those things? The opposite of that big hole in your face, your mouth, the opposite of breathing with that is breathing with your nose. 30 different functions of the nose show it's designed for breathing. The opposite of loud, noisy breathing is soft, quiet breathing. The opposite of fast breathing is slow breathing. The opposite of shallow upper chest breathing is deeper, lower diaphragmatic breathing. Okay, and there's some more detail that we can go into those types of things, and I've got a whole load of other workshops and courses and everything to do, but we're going to really focus in and hone in on the relaxation aspect of it. So what we're going to do before we go any further, we're going to use that slower, softer, quieter nasal breathing, and we're going to use our understanding of extending our exhales, promoting more parasympathetic activity. We're going to use that in our breathing exercise. Okay. But what we're going to do first is to give you a gauge of how are you currently breathing. Okay. So I'm going to time a minute on my stopwatch, and I want you to count how many breaths you take. Okay. You're going to record them. You're going to count in your head. In and out is one breath, to get a gauge of what is your habit of breathing as we sit here right now. Hopefully you're not particularly stressed, but you might have had a stressful day at work, but hopefully as you listen to me talk, you're not feeling like this is going to be a stressful session, so you're starting to relax. But get a gauge of our breathing. Okay, how many breaths do you take in this minute? So all you've got to do is count. Be the observer of your breathing, not to the breather, but don't stop breathing. So keep breathing and count your breaths. Just observe them. Okay, so ready to start in 3, 2, 1, go. So in and out is one breath. You're counting the total number of breath cycles you take. Don't judge it. Don't try to control it. Just observe it. Notice it. It could be the nicest minute of your day. Nothing to do other than focus on that thing that is happening internal inside of you. As you count, just also notice what is moving within your body to make that breath, that air, life come in and out. And notice, how do you feel? You've had 50 seconds there already of like breathing. Like, how do you feel? And stop. Okay. Lots of you are giving some feedback in the chat box about sound. Now give me some feedback on that. Just put a number. How many breaths was it? Just put the number in. Okay. Don't be conscious or worried about it or anything, just so I can see it good. See, pumping them in, pump, 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 pump. And what we have is what we always have. We have everything from some people slightly below 10 to people above 10. And then we have some like higher ones and things. So we've got everything from probably like the lowest was like 4. And then the highest is maybe like 18 or 20 or something. Again, that's totally normal. And all I'm interested in is not the thief of joy, which is comparison. So do not judge yourself and do not compare yourself to someone else. All I want you to do is be aware of what your breathing was like then, how it felt and where it was coming from. People giving a bit more feedback in there as well as those numbers. Great. And you're going to change that and you are going to improve that. I'm just going to help guide you and let your body show you how well it can breathe when you relax, when you get out the way and you let go and you create the conditions for your body to do what it knows how to do beautifully, which is breathe, which is you being alive. Yeah. There is no life without breath. Your life is your breathing. Every inhale you take in, you are bringing in life. Yeah. Just think about that for a second. Just let that sink in, the importance of that breath you take. Okay. How we do it is going to impact what your body does with the oxygen and when it's inside, will impact how efficiently you use that oxygen that you're breathing in, how your body deals with the carbon dioxide that it has to create, but it's not this baddie. Carbon dioxide drives our breathing, but it allows oxygen to be released into the blood, from the blood into the tissues more efficiently, and it helps improve circulation. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're just going to go gradually build this thing up, and all you've got to do is let go, get comfortable, follow along to the guidance, and give yourself permission to take time out of your busy day to focus on you and your breath, and nothing else other than a little bit of guidance from me, which it's just to say at the start, it's a pleasure to be able to do this. So I appreciate everybody joining, and hope you're going to feel nice after this. Hopefully you're already feeling nice and you're just going to feel nicer. But if you're not feeling that great at the moment, then hopefully this will help too. Okay, so we'll focus on the simple stuff. Getting good at the simple stuff and good at the basics is what it's all about for everybody. Yeah, and I say that with true meaning. Like if we're working with a international rugby player, they still need to work on the basics of breathing. That's what gets the biggest results. Okay, so the basics, when we're talking about trying to be more efficient with the breathing and be able to use our breathing to relax and downregulate the nervous system and de-stress, is breathing in out the nose, breathing quieter, because when you breathe quieter, you tick off the box of slower. So you don't have to think about breathing slow when you breathe quietly. You're already breathing quietly. So you're already breathing slowly. And then when you start to breathe slower and quieter, you don't have to breathe with that upper chest as much, and you can let those chest, neck, and shoulders relax. So that's what we're going to start with. Your conscious awareness of the airflow coming in and out of the nose. That's all I want you to do. Think about breathing in and out of the nose. Notice the air as it enters the nose. And just notice the air as it leaves the nose. Don't judge anything. I want you to feel. I want you to feel the air on the inside of the nostrils on the way in, and feel the air on your nostrils on the way out. And I want you to listen to your breath. Listen to it on the way in. Don't judge it. And listen to it on the way out. Closing your eyes might help you go a little bit more internal on this. But one thing I'll say about practicing with your eyes closed and seated isolates you and allows you to focus, which is great. But you also need to be able to practice with your eyes open in the real world as life happens. That's really important. If we're only good at breathing sat down with our eyes closed, you're not preparing yourself to breathe well when you're standing around, walking around with your eyes open, when life actually happens, when stress actually comes. So we're noticing the sound of our breath and also feeling the airflow of the breath in the nose. And just gradually try and make it quieter on the way in and quieter on the way out. As we start to slow down our breathing, it becomes quieter. And you might feel a sense of air hunger just softly. Just remember, that's not oxygen low. That's just CO2 levels rising ever so slightly. Relax into it. Don't fight or push back against it. It's actually helping oxygen to be delivered to your tissues, to your brain. It's helping improve circulation. It's a good thing. So relax into that. And as you're breathing quietly and slowly through the nose, just notice what within your body is moving. Is the chest moving, or is the movement coming more from lower down with the rib cage and the diaphragm? And to give you a little bit of feedback, put one hand, external feedback, one hand on your chest, and then one hand below your sternum, below your breast bone, in between where your ribs are. And as you're breathing, with a focus on feeling the air in the nostrils and listening out to the sound, also pay attention to what hand's moving. And don't try not to judge it. Just pay attention. Then we've understood from the beginning we want the bottom hand to move more. We want the breath to be coming from lower down. And as we said, and use the chat box to give some feedback. As you're softening that breath and making it quieter and just feeling the air in the nose, as your breath becomes slower and more gentle, do you notice how automatically the body starts to relax that upper chest and shoulders, and you can breathe from lower down? Okay, then we're going to do two things to help. The first is I want you to roll your neck and your shoulders out a little bit, a bit of like, let that go. Let tension go by rolling them out. It's really useful and helpful. Wiggle and roll, okay? And then sit and soften. And then with your bottom hand, I want you to rub that area where your bottom hand is. And then I want you to feel that area. I want you to consciously think about relaxing the shoulders. And just with your thoughts, think about making that bottom hand move. Yeah. And if you're noticing your shoulders getting involved, relax them out. Start to pay attention to that bottom hand. Use your hand, just rub that sort of below your sternum and your belly area. Make that bottom hand moving. And just notice that, yeah, actually, when I slow my breath down, I quiet it, I make it silent or quiet. And I think about where I can feel my hand, that lower hand. I think about that area. I can make that area do the movement more. Okay. Then when you feel like you've got it, nice, relax the arms down by your sides, or wherever you are. I mean, you could be seated, you could be lying down. It's totally up to you, whoever's comfortable. But now, without your hands there, can you be aware of breathing that soft breath in through the nose, noticing the sound and noticing the air on the nostrils? But can you feel your sort of lower rib cage, diaphragm, tummy area? Can you feel that your breath feels lower compared to it feeling chesty? Okay. And then what I want you to do to help with the airflow and your posture to facilitate good breathing is two things. Think about your neck position. So I want to think about taking my head towards the ceiling to create length at the back of my spine. So rather than my chin being forward and decreasing that space, I'm going to bring the chin back a little bit and think about lengthening through the spine. So imagine a piece of string pulling your head up towards the ceiling. Feel how that lifts your spine all the way through, which helps your spine connects into your rib cage. Your rib cage and spine work together. Nice long spine, rib cage can facilitate better movement of your breath. Okay, then the other thing, that nice long neck, connect into our tongue position. You're all on mute, so you can do this. You make this noise. Make that talking noise. Where you put the tip of your tongue to make that talking noise, you put the tongue there, but then you put the rest of the tongue flat to the top of the palate. Okay, so I'm thinking long spine, so the rib cage is nicely positioned, and then tongue is to the roof of the mouth, behind the front teeth, but flat to the top of the palate. And I breathe in and out the nose, and I just notice that airflow feels a bit easier. Use the chat box to give us some feedback if you're happy to. Like, does that feel with that longer spine, the slower breath, the quieter breath, and the tongue position? Is it easier to facilitate that nice, subtle movement coming from lower down? Yeah, good. Some nice feedback. Good, guys and girls. Okay, so maintain that, not rigidly like, oh, I've got to stay like this. No, maintain like just trying to create that, have a nice long spine, but not rigid. having the tongue resting to the roof of the mouth for the rest of the session or the rest of your life, but definitely for the rest of the session. Okay. It's a good question about the belly. So as your diaphragm's moving down and pushing the ribs out, you'll feel the organs underneath your diaphragm moving. So you will feel movement of your belly. Yeah. But our lungs are not in our belly, so we don't breathe with our belly, but you will feel some sensations moving around there, yes. That's completely normal. Try to tune in more. Maybe you haven't really experienced and felt what the diaphragm feels like before. So try to be aware. Yeah, and your palate and your jaw, your teeth, they all affect like the space that your tongue has and the strength of your tongue and the tightness of your tongue. All these things affect that. But try not to think about seeking for like a perfect thing. Just try to do the basics right. So the basics being, rather than tongue at the bottom of the mouth, being lazy, put it to the top of the mouth. Rather than slumping in your posture, try to create a bit of a straighter spine. Okay, now we're really going to tap into then the nervous system. Okay, we're going to start to really think about relaxing on our exhales, and we're going to extend in the exhales initially. And then what we're going to then gradually do is use a hum to, once we've really got relaxed, a hum to extend our exhale a little bit more, but it will be extended naturally. So if I do a hum now, that automatically extends my exhale without me forcing it or trying. None of this should be forced. Nice thing about the humming is the vibrations innervate the vagus nerve. The vibrations of the voice box innervate the vagus nerve, which help with that parasympathetic tone as well. So we get a bit of a double whammy. When you're using your diaphragm to breathe, you're also, the vagus nerve runs through the diaphragm. So we get innervation of the vagus nerve when we do that as well. Okay, so we'll start by just focusing on extending those exhales a little bit, just through relaxation, and then I'll guide you through bringing the humming gradually. Okay, so some with your eyes open, some with your eyes closed, so you can go a little bit more internal. But with a long spine, but not forced and rigid, tongue to the roof of the mouth. Breathing in through the nose, noticing the sound it makes, and then think about relaxing on the exhale. Each inhale, the diaphragm is working. It has to contract, but just gently because we're at rest. On your exhale, you can relax and let go. It doesn't need to work. It will go back to its resting position. So a gentle, soft, quiet breath in through the nose. Think about relaxing and letting go on the exhale. Thinking on the inhale, you're breathing in life. Breath is life. And on your exhale, if you'd like to, you can just think about breathing out through the nose, relaxing, but just breathing out anything that you don't want anymore. It's a quiet breath in, breathing in life, and a relaxed breath out where you can just let go. Physically let go of tension, mentally let go of baggage. And try and make that breath in even quieter. And then on your exhale, just relax and sink into your chair or the floor or however you're positioned. Let it hold you up. Trust it as you let go. Can you make that breath in so quiet that if I was sat next to you right now, I wouldn't be able to hear you breathe? We'd both be very excited, obviously, but I wouldn't be able to hear you breathing. And can you make it so quiet that you can't hear yourself breathe? And keep relaxing on the exhale. If you can make that breath silent, just smile and enjoy the stillness that breathing but not making any noise creates. And notice that your movements of the breath have really softened down. It's almost like you're barely breathing at all. Just enjoy that moment. And then we're going to start to extend the exhale more, but not forcefully, because we want to keep your inhale silent. Remember, silent means slow. But the hum on our exhale is going to automatically extend it. And you're going to be able to work at your own pace, but I'll guide us through. But work what feels comfortable for you. Don't force it. Okay? So on our next inhale, go silent breath in and humming on the way out. Silent breath in. Silent breath in. Silent breath in. Keep working at your own pace that feels good for you. Don't force that hum, just let it happen. Relax and let go of tension on the way out. Govern a soft, silent, relaxed breath in. If you force your exhale, it's going to make you find it hard to keep your next inhale silent and soft. Soft, silent inhale. Relaxed, humming exhale. Don't force it. Let it happen. And if you keep that next inhale silent and relaxed, you know you're in a good space. It's not hard and it's not forced. At the end of your hums, some of you will notice that your body really wants to just pause. It's not in a rush for that next inhale. Let that pause happen. Enjoy that pause. A pause is stillness. Enjoy those pauses, but don't force it. If you try to make a pause happen or force it, it's going to affect your next relaxed, soft, silent inhale. So always silent and relaxed and soft on the way in, humming on the way out. And a pause if it wants it, just let it happen. Silent breath in. Silent breath in. Relaxing, letting go and humming on the way out. Let a pause happen if it does. And just work at your own pace. What feels good for you? Start to notice that as you relax more and more, notice how soft your breathing is. Notice that the movement of your breath is really small now. It's really soft, it's really gentle. Notice how good it feels, how relaxed you feel. How when you create those conditions for good breathing, how efficient your body can be with very little air passing through it. When you're relaxed, when you let go, and when you get out of the way. Your body is beautifully designed and beautifully efficient at breathing if we just give it the opportunity and the conditions to show us. That efficiency feels good because your body is just not having to work as hard to keep you alive. And that feels nice. Notice also the level of saliva in the mouth. As you take your final few breaths, now check in. What's the level of saliva like? Has that increased? Some of you will be dribbling. Let us know in the chat box. Have you noticed more saliva in the mouth? Yeah, good, Dave. Good, Anthony. Like, yeah, some of you will be dribbling. Now, that's a sign, remember, of digestion. Rest, digest, parasympathetic. You're doing it. Okay? Or feeling relaxed, or feeling like yawning, so feeling tired, like more sleepy, would be another sign. Now, for some of us, if we find it hard to downregulate, hard to switch off, doing this for the first time, you might find that you didn't create more saliva, and that's okay. It just means you need a little bit more practice. Maybe you had a more stressful day today than others. Okay, but it's a very useful tool to be able to go, okay, this is what I liked. It was like, am I doing it right? It's like, well, there you got something to know whether you're doing it right or not. Okay. So as another marker as well, to show you how quickly the brain responds, very quickly. If you breathe really badly, it responds really quickly too. So you have to think about doing it well. Breathing really nicely there, more saliva building up, feeling good. Then we'll just time another minute. You're going to count your breathing now. Don't control it. We were just controlling it. Don't control it now. Make a fair comparison with when you were counting your breath at the start. Okay, so in 3, 2, 1, go. So in and out is 1. This will definitely be the nicest minute of the day because you've slowed down. You've got out of the way for a few minutes, and then you'll see that your brain, now you're not trying, you're just observing, you're not trying to slow it down, you're just counting. But you'll notice that you feel calmer, breath feels slower and smaller. Notice how you feel different compared to before, and notice how the movement of the breath is that different to before. Okay, and stop. So what I'd really love to see in the chat box is both your first number and your second number. So it's like, I was put 14, now 8, or whatever it ended up being. So it was 16, it was 10, 5, 6, 4.5, 9 to 6, 7 to 5, 12 to 5, 10 to 9, 12 to 2.5, there goes so fast, 10 to 6, 12 to 7, 20 now, 12, well done, Dawn, 10 to 6, 10 to 6. Okay, 11 to 5, 15 to 9, 7 to 5. So to give you a bit of context, well done, everybody. So what we're seeing, like so this is it, right? Everyone's just come down. So everyone's done it. Okay. It is for everybody. Everyone is going to, when you're breathing less, it's going to feel better because you're just like not having to do as much work to just be alive. Okay. So hopefully people feel better as well. As a bit of a general rule of thumb, like slower is better. If you don't have to breathe as much, then you'll be more efficient. There's some, I don't know if there's any proof of this, but there's some, what's the right word? But anyway, some thoughts and theories in sort of yogic worlds that you only have a certain number of breaths for your whole life. Like say it's like 3 billion breaths or whatever. It's like you have a set number, and the faster you breathe, the more you're using them up, the earlier you're going to die. And there's probably some, I don't know, we don't know if that's true, but there's some element of like, if you spend 50 years, say, breathing fast, that's loads of stress. With that sympathetic stress, that sympathetic drive, we also get inflammation. We know inflammation is massive for like other health markers and things as well. So there's definitely some truth in it, whether it's exactly like a set out before us and you need to be careful with each breath you take, who knows? But I actually quite like the notion of it. As a bit of a general rule of thumb, breathing at rest, we want to be around about 10. Now, when you ask someone to count their breathing, they automatically slow it down. And not in a bad way, as in, if I ask you to count your breathing for a minute and you were like, I was 12 then, Jacko, I'd be like, great. But if you weren't counting them and I was counting them without you knowing, it might have been more like 13 or 14. Okay, so just bear that in mind. But the act of counting your breathing helps slow it down. So it's a good thing to do. To focus on our breathing helps to slow it down. And when we slow our breathing down, we help to calm the nervous system. When we calm the nervous system, we also calm our thoughts and our stress responses. So 1 to be out 10, 12. When you guide someone, as we did, or no, not when you did it, when you breathed in slowly and quietly, your inhale will have been about 4 seconds. When you hummed on the exhale, it will have been longer. It'd have been about 6 seconds when you're humming. We let people work at whatever pace they want to do in this scenario, because there's like over 60 of you in here. Rather than me telling you to do 4 and 6, it was like, you work on whatever you want to do. And if you are in and around that area, 4 in, 6 out, it's longer exhale, parasympathetic response. That's a 10-second breath cycle. A 10-second breath cycle is 6 breaths per minute. Some people went from 10 breaths down to 6. So your brain stayed breathing at 6, even though you weren't doing it anymore. Now, it won't stay like that forever, and we don't have to stay like that forever. But there was a really nice one, I think it was Dawn. There was something that was like 20 down to 12 or 8 or something. It was like massive change, like halved. And 20, if I want to be 10 and I'm breathing at 20, I'm breathing twice as fast as I might need to. So practicing then and coming right down to like 8, I think it was, whatever, like it made a real big change. You must feel quite significantly different. And the hopefully what you felt is that it wasn't hard. It was actually nice. It was nice. I felt good. It wasn't hard. Like that for me is like the winning formula of like, well, are you going to go and do this on your own when you don't need me to do it? Are you going to spend some time tomorrow or later doing that? Well, it wasn't hard and I felt good. Yeah, I'm going to do it. Like, why wouldn't I do it? If it was quite difficult to do and you didn't really enjoy it, well, then you're probably not going to do it. But that's the thing about breathing. It impacts quickly. The brain responds fast and it's simple. It's simple. Okay. The challenge is for you to give yourself permission. I'm saying this to myself because I'm the same. Give yourself permission to stop and do it. The other then bit is that's doing it in isolation. The other bit is then as you get good, if you give yourself permission to do that, you'll start to notice when I'm doing the dishes, when I'm writing my emails or where I'm doing whatever. Remember, in life, you're always breathing in, breathing out, or holding your breath. Those things are always happening. One of those 3 things. And so what you'll notice is you'll go like, oh, when I'm washing the car, I notice I breathe quite fast, or I hold my breath, or whatever it is that, whatever activity it is that you're doing, you'll notice you're breathing more. And then even the simplest bits of breathing through your nose and breathing quietly, you don't have to do the whole silent and humming all the time, but you'll be able to pay some soft attention to it and change your breathing to facilitate better breathing outside of your isolated practice. That makes sense? And that's then when it becomes really, really impactful and useful because you're doing it in lots of different scenarios, lots of different times. You're teaching the brain good habits, regardless of what it is that you're doing. Okay. And then if you want to do it within exercise, then, you know, it's a whole nother kettle of fish. There was a couple of questions. How am I best to take a minute? I've already explained that. There was a question about CO2. but I don't know if I've understood it. Andrea, long exhale is not against WT CO2 waste. If you just maybe write that another way so I can try to understand it. I started with a really compressed sore back after a day of going up and down a ladder, a roof. Now I feel very nice about, yeah. So if you improve the quality, so your diaphragm plays quite a key role in stabilizing your spine and posture. So improving a lot of the time, not all the time, it's not the cure all for everything, but if someone's got lower back pain, improving and they're breathing a little bit more up here, and we start to get them breathing better with their diaphragm and their ribs moving, their lower back pain often will improve, or if not, go completely. Andrea, say we don't want to waste too much CO2, but sometimes we need long exhale are good for turning on parasympathetic. Yes, but also think that a long exhale is slowing down our breathing. So even though on your exhale, you're breathing out carbon dioxide, as I breathe out for a very long time, whilst I'm breathing out, but it's a slow out. So it's not like lots of CO2 is going out quickly. It's a little bit of CO2 going out slowly. Whilst that slow exhale is happening, what's happening on the inside? More CO2 is being created. You will notice that if you slow down your breathing so much, slow down your exhale so much, you'll feel a real urge to breathe in because carbon dioxide has increased on the inside because you've slowed your exhale down so much. So we're not wasting and getting rid of carbon dioxide by doing longer exhales. You will get rid of more carbon dioxide by doing big, fast exhales. That's getting rid of large amounts quickly. So in a total minute, you're going to get rid of more. So I hope that makes sense. How do we regulate to nose breathing while sleeping? Is the natural position of the tongue always flat top of the palate? Yeah, so we do want the tongue at the top of the palate. To regulate your nasal breathing while sleeping, the easiest way to keep your mouth closed, I won't hit you with I'll hit you a second. Very, very important that you are conscious about your nose breathing during the day. You set your tone, habits, and intention for your breath while you're asleep, whilst you're not conscious, by what you do with your conscious breathing while you're awake. To maintain, I'll do it slowly. I'll build up to it gradually, the crescendo. If you're lying on your back, very easy for the mouth to fall open and the tongue to drop down. So on your front or on your side is also better, rather than gravity pulling the mouth open. The crescendo is, so how do you keep the mouth closed? You put some tape on it to take your mouth closed. That isn't, I know it sounds weird. It isn't weird. My level of things that are weird, I used to play professional rugby. So for 13 years as an adult, I would regularly shower with other men. That was a normal part of my day-to-day life. So which most people think is weird. I haven't had a shower with another bloke for 9 years now. I think that's weird compared to my previous one. So my level of weird is potentially different for yours. But I did still think, well, the first time I read about taping your mouth at night, I was like, ooh, that's a bit weird. I was like, I'm not doing that. But I started to notice that how am I breathing when I'm asleep? It's difficult to know. A lot of people definitely, I was one of these. I definitely didn't sleep. I definitely didn't snore. But my wife would elbow me in the middle of the night, Mrs. Jack, and tell me I'm snoring. So basically, I was snoring. And I was mouth snoring. And I knew, and I'd wake up in the morning with a dry mouth and I wasn't sleeping well. So I bow at the bow, I'm going to try it. And there's a video on my YouTube. I'll send an email after this with a couple of videos that will help. There's a video on my YouTube that explains like how to do it sort of safely and comfortably. And just to rest assured, the best sleep scientists in the world that work at Stanford University, I can't remember her name, they get all of their clients and patients to tape their mouth at night. It's not this weird thing that just the Oxygen Advantage or Buteyko do. It is something. Cool. Okay. So I just wanted to show you one final thing. I've got a couple of other things coming on. I need to update the date. There's a sports performance session next week. For those that are on that course, I've got a Breathwork basic self-paced online course, but then I've also got on the 29th of March. So that's next Tuesday, I believe, 29th of March, definitely. A live 3-week course. There's 3 places left on it. It's only a very small group of 8. So you get to join a group of 8 people, 3 weeks long. I'll send the details for that in the on an email follow-up so you can see that. But there are just 3 places left on that. It's 3 weeks live. You get to watch back the sessions on replay as well. And anybody that joins any of my courses, does any of my things, I give them ongoing email support forever until we take our last breath. And then if anyone's interested in, there's a sort of 6, we've done 6 weeks of a 9-week online certification to become an Oxford Advantage instructor. There's actually no prerequisites, like everybody is welcome. The next, so you can't join that one with 6 weeks into that, but the next one starts on the 6th of July. Details for all these things are on the website, rootedlife.co.uk, but I'll send an email to follow up with some of these. And then the final thing, if anyone is into the exercise side of things, for taking part and joining, just a bit of a thank you. My sports performance ebook is normally 29 quid, but if you use the code workshop10, you get it for just 19 quid. And all of it all of them do. They come with a money back guarantee. If you buy something from me and you're like, I don't think that was good enough, or it didn't work, like, I am more than happy to give someone their money back, because what I know, when people do the courses, do the exercises, you are more likely to say that was life-changing than it is you to say, can I have my money back? They had a client that I'm sort of fully booked for one-on-ones at the moment. I had a client last week that said we'd done 4 sessions, and he said, you know what, Jacko? It was like, it might not be just the breathing, and like, let's be honest, like, there's other stuff going on in our lives all the time, isn't there? And if you're committed to improving your health, wellness, and happiness through some breathing sessions, you're probably looking at other stuff as well, which is great. You're conscious of it. But what he said was, he was like, I'm at the point now where when I wake up in the morning, whatever stress is going to come up and whatever life is going to throw at me, I think, not bothered, because I know I've got a tool to be able to handle it. Now, he ran his own business and had quite a stressful job, but he'd got to that point where he was like, I don't care what life is going to throw at me this morning, because I know how to control internally how I respond to the stress. I know my breathing affects my stress response. I know I can control my breathing. And I just thought that was just like, a beautiful example. And hopefully that encourages all. I found it hugely encouraging, encourage all of us, to utilize and think about the breathing. So Devis, thank you very much for joining. It's my pleasure. I love teaching. So it's not you saying thank you for me for taking the time to teach. This was my most enjoyable hour of the day. So don't feel like you have to thank me. Someone asked about 3M masking tape. Yeah, 3M micropore tape is the tape that I use for the micropore tape for the mouth tape in. Isabella, thank you. Thank you for joining. Dave Burkers, thank you for joining. Alice, thank you. Thank you. Super grateful. Cherry, I'm super grateful to you. Thanks, Jacko. Feeling totally calm. Jem, you legend. Glad, thanks for joining. Natalie, thank you for joining. Dan, thank you. Elizabeth, absolutely. I'm losing track of seeing everyone. Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for coming. Dennis, loved you. Ingrid. Ingrid, how you doing? Thank you. Yes, Joe, I will send the recording, and you can pass that on. If someone you think would benefit from this, please do pass the recording on. I'll send an email out this evening with a couple of links to those other things that people are interested in. The 3-week course, I say, starts on the 29th. Austin, you are the legend. Thank you. Joe, big thanks. Thank you. Yeah, I'll send that out with the recording. This will just have to download and upload to YouTube, and then I'll send that through. But yeah, please do, particularly this one, like, the sports performance stuff. Not everyone's into sport and needs all that sort of stuff, but the learning to control your breath, to control your nervous system response and your stress and your relaxation state, like everyone benefits from that. So, please share it. Or if you don't like me or the way I do it, and there's someone else you like that does a similar thing, share that with them. Like, what's important is that people get to experience that they have inside them the ability with their breath to control how they respond to stress, because we can't control the stresses. Yeah. Like, I'll try to say this without crying. My dad's got prostate cancer. I'm living at home with him and my mum at the moment, helping my mum look after him. I can't control that. I have to control how I respond to it. And we can all do that. And your breath is the control for that. We haven't got anything else. Yeah. Thank you, Richard. Thanks, Lizzie. Suzanne, well done. A book, do you recommend? Yeah, the book by James Nestor, Breath, is fantastic. Oxygen Advantage, really good as well. The Breathing Cure by Patrick McKeown, again, very good. They're three that I abide by. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. And I wasn't saying that don't, I'm just giving a real life example. Yeah. And, crikey, look around the world. There's other people with no one's trying to flipping shoot me outside right now. Like there's a lot worse stuff going on. So we thank our blessings and we thank God. Joe, thank you very much, Joe. Appreciate it. Dawn, 29th. 29th is the application and development, not the basics course. There is a self-paced basics course that you can follow on your own, which is all the tutorials for me. But they aren't the live sessions. Richard saying the basics course is great to do. Thanks, Richard, pumping up that up. For those that have stayed around for the end, I do have. There's an app. There's a company I work with, Breathwork. There's a couple of apps. So, Breathwork is available on iPhone and Android, which is really quite cool as well. I am working on my own one, which is going to be coming out. I was hoping it was going to be this week, but it doesn't look like it's going to be this week. But it's going to be coming out soon, so keep an eye out for that. It's going to be on the website that will sort of house it, but it's going to be an app. It's called probreathwork.com. I haven't told anyone else that yet. So keep an eye out for that. I'm very excited about that. And would appreciate any support of it when you get to see it. Premium, sorry. Yeah. Big prayers and big loves always. I mean, it's I often say with the breathing, it's like, life starts with our first breath and it ends with our last. Like we know it's gonna come and it's gonna happen. And there's lots of good things. If you get hit by a bus, you don't know it's coming, and no one can help and support you. Whereas it's not nice, but at least okay, yeah, you know what I'm saying. Dan, definitely check out the app when it comes out. Yes, do, man. And that's gonna be Pro Breathwork. Some people, I've done a few little teasers on Instagram, so some people might have seen a little bit of the PB is the logo, PB stands for Pro Breathwork. Keep an eye out for that. Right, I'll stop the record so it will download and I'll upload it to YouTube and send on. Yeah, Jamie Hill, appreciate you guys. Thank you very much, everybody. Take care. God bless.